In the shadows of boxing's early days, when records were loose and recognition was even looser, one name still echoes with power. Ed Binney, born Edward Finney on April 19th, 1864 in Washington, D.C. He wasn't just a fighter, he was a pioneer. A middleweight with heavy hands and a relentless spirit, Binney carved his name into the sport's segregated chapters. In a time when black fighters were often denied fair competition, Ed Binney stood toe-to-toe with the best and left most of them on the canvas. On November 30th, 1891, Ed Binney made history when he defeated Harris Black Pearl Martin, the inaugural claimant to the Colored World Middleweight Championship, and in doing so becoming the second ever Colored World Middleweight Champion. One thing to remember is that the colored titles were established via claim, same as any other title, but in those early days, they were initially established by someone making a claim and then others had to accept said claim, or they could challenge and fight for that claim, and that's what essentially establishes the lineage as a champion. Same was the case with the Colored World Championships, ranging from heavyweight and on down. It wasn't just a victory, it was a shift in power. Martin had been a force. After 25 rounds, Harris's corner stopped the fight. It was a fight that redefined the title's legitimacy and pushed Binney into the spotlight. Binney's resume includes clashes with some of the early era's best. This would be John the Darkey Wizard Banks, a technical marvel during the time. Joe Butler, who would be the man to dethrone Binney for the Colored World Middleweight title. For more on Joe Butler, check the channel for our video that covers what he was able to accomplish in his career. He also faced off against Dick O'Brien, a rugged Canadian journeyman with a global reputation whose resume reads like a who's who in the sport of boxing. He also stepped in with Billy Hennessy, another tough brawler from the time who faced some of the best that the sport had to offer. I wanted to add that it's hard to understand the overall value of a fighter from this era and their resume by just looking at their record, because at face value, it doesn't really explain a ton. There are some who have multiple losses. There are those who have a smaller amount of fights, but take a guy like Dick O'Brien. If you look through his resume, you'll see he was in the ring with multiple world champions across multiple divisions. That gives you a sense of some of the nuances behind some of these old school fighters and their overall resumes. But what truly sets Binney apart was his punching power. Out of all of his victories, only 2 came by decision. The rest, knockouts. Clean, brutal, and decisive. His reign may have been short-lived, but his impact can't be overstated. In a world that barely recorded the accomplishments of black athletes during the era, Ed Binney made sure his presence was felt with his fist and his legacy. Today, Ed Binney's name is often buried beneath the better documented legends from the time. But make no mistake about it, he was a champion. And in the brutal, beautiful world of 19th century boxing, he helped pave the way for every fighter who followed. For more forgotten legends and the stories they left behind, subscribe to 86 Boxing. The ring remembers those we choose to honor. Thank you for watching.